So of course, as soon as we
You
start
can't do
recording, you
that
freeze
without me
up,
knowing.
huh?
Of course.
Okay, people, welcome back to another episode of the FwooshCast. What are we calling this?
We're calling
Fwoosh.
it. I can't believe we're shooting another one already.
I know already,
Yeah,
and I say already, and it's been weeks, hasn't it?
couple maybe at most, right? That's pretty good.
But this is a kind of a shorter. Well, I say shorter. I start this off saying shorter, and we know
It's
how this
been
always goes.
conceived as a short form format.
hmm we're gonna do a Fwoosh five, but since there's two of us, we're gonna Fwoosh six, right?
Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh five plus a build a figure. That's how it works on the front
Okay.
page.
Yeah.
So it's
I'm
all
going with
good.
it. But we're gonna do this face off style.
Yeah, I get to be Nick Cage.
We're gonna try to. Well, we're gonna wish list the rest of the Bring on the Bad Guys wave that's
Yeah,
upcoming.
I can't stop thinking about that wave since it was announced at PulseCon. So
Man, you can't show me Dormammu and Arcade and then just leave it at that.
I know. And it's a wave of all bad guys, and that's generally more exciting to me at this point, I think.
We need the
And
bad guys.
they can't be heroes without the villains. So let's
No,
bring it on.
without the villains, they'd just be dudes with powers.
And they probably wouldn't dress up, so you just have a bunch of plain clothes dudes
Yeah,
on your
why dress up? If you know what, they'd probably get so bored they would become the villains, and there would be no good guys.
what's Two Face say? You live long enough to become the villain. I mean, that would be everybody then.
That'd be
Good
everybody,
concept.
and then the bad guys become good guys, and yeah, chaos.
But with two of them already revealed, we're kind of banking on that this is going to be a seven figure wave, like most Legends waves are these days, plus a build a figure. So I don't know. My mind's been running all over the place thinking about who I think will be in this wave, who I'd like to see in this wave, which are generally not the same thing. But this is like cathartic. It helps you like reconcile what you think is going to be here, and you've got to defend it now because we're only going to take one from each round, right?
Yeah, yeah. There's two revealed. That leaves five in the wave. So we're gonna go 5 rounds. We're gonna start out with some pretty A-list type characters we haven't discussed on who we have on our
Yeah,
list. So
I don't know
round
your
one,
list, and you can't see mine.
we'll throw out two. We'll talk about a little bit and then end up choosing one. And I have a feeling that we're gonna end up having a lot of the same choices. But we
Yeah,
specifically called out for at least one or two waves to have some obscure deep dive choices just to make it interesting.
yeah. I mean, I need the essential characters, but for me, with most Marvel and probably DC too, with the villains especially, the fun really begins once you hit like D list and below. So
Yeah.
it's hard for me not to go there.
And then for the build a figure, it's hard not to get all, oh, well, it's got to be this because of this, and this. When wish list is usually supposed to be fun and you just throw stuff with that you want, it's hard not to get clinical about it.
Yeah, I have to say that historical context and things like that played in the most with the build a figure choice that I have here, going back through what we've gotten before, what we haven't gotten before, and what lots of people are needing or the line itself needs at this point,
Right.
with some holes in it. So yeah, but the other ones I think are kind of fun, some expected, but hopefully some aren't, because I've got a couple that I'm going to defend pretty hard, so we probably better get going.
Let the FwooshCast cast
Face off.
five face off Fwoosh five commence. Let's go. I screwed it up. Just go
Okay,
ahead.
well, we didn't bring a coin, so
I'll be the bigger man and allow you to go first.
well, I pride myself in always being the one to just step right through that door. So I think I will do that. And I'm going to start off with what I at least consider to be an A-list character that I would like to choose here. And I'm going to go with a villain from my favorite stable and start with Psycho Man.
Psycho Man, huh?
Yeah.
You know what?
I, the Fantastic Four, they're back. They're starting to get integrated more and more into the line, and maybe, you know, Psycho Man should hang out for a Fantastic Four wave. But if I'm thinking about a figure that we've never gotten in Legends before, who's a pretty high profile Fantastic Four villain, I'm going to go with Psycho Man.
And you know what? I'd be okay with that if I didn't have a rebuttal choice, because I like his little, what's it say on his emotion box thing, hate and doubt and fear or something. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's like the psychological Infinity Gauntlet.
It doesn't matter, because my choice for round one is well, I don't want to say classic styled villain, but he's been around a long time, had a lot of different looks. He may be coming up in the movies again, so it seems like a logical choice, but I gotta go with some Mandarin.
Man, you know, see, you say that, and he is actually written down on my list, but with a star next to it, because, I mean, we've got a Shang-Chi movie coming out soon, and it's the Legend of the Ten Rings, and how do you name something like that without evoking Mandarin? So I hedged against him to say, that's probably going to be a Shang-Chi.
Could be, but if he did show up there, maybe it's a movie version, or maybe they don't pick a version I want, because if it came down to it, I'm a big Axe of Vengeance type guy with the armor, the blue, the silver. It's a good look.
Yeah.
Oh, I see you thinking. I see you trying to come up with some kind of Psycho Man comeback.
Well, it's a good choice, but like I said, he has had at least Mandarin has had at least an attempt.
That's true. That is true. And probably a bigger chance in the future.
Yeah, exactly. And Psycho Man's one of those guys that, you know, he's never had a figure. Even if we're gonna fall into something like a Fantastic Four wave, or maybe even if Doctor Doom is kind of a harbinger, a Fantastic Four retro wave, hopefully, I don't see him fitting into something like that, simply because he's probably a lot of new tooling, and they're probably gonna have to fill out. I mean, I would imagine all four of the Fantastic Four would be in that too. So him having a chance in the near future, Mandarin's got past, but I think he's also got more likely future. So that's where I'm sitting with it.
Now you go through all that and just watch. In a couple of years, when the Fantastic Four franchise is kicking, it's going to be like, it's going to be Fantastic Four 2, Psycho Man emerges or something.
Into the negative zone.
Yeah.
As she said.
And that's the beginning of Annihilus and Annihilation War. And that's actually not a bad idea. But
stop giving away ideas.
Okay, I will. Concede? Is that the term?
Are you gonna concede Mandarin for Psycho?
Like I said, Mandarin has a higher possibility in the future. That's why I picked him, because I thought, you know what, let's ride in. But Psycho Man has always kind of been on my list too. You know, not on this list that I came up with today, but Psycho Man's always been in the back of my head.
I'll tell you, I think I would fight. If you're conceding, then that's awesome, because Psycho Man is great. I would have fought a little bit harder had you said any other costume than the one that you picked, because even though when I think of Mandarin, I actually think of the robes more just off the top of my head, but the costume that you picked is definitely much more interesting and action figure-etic.
What, the blue one with the silver?
Yeah, the one that you're saying. So that would be a really cool toy. So this is a tough one, but
yeah, got to go with Psycho Man.
All right, I got my pen. I'm going to write it down.
Because I didn't pull out the super classic card of Mandarin with the M on his chest and the Hawkeye mask.
That would have done it.
That would have done it.
Down. It's already there.
You can't go against the sticky once it's been stickied.
Okay, so Psycho Man, put him next to Dormammu and Arcade. That's a pretty eclectic looking wave so far.
Yeah. That's a little something for everyone. Well, not everyone, but okay. On to round 2.
Okay, round 2.
5 face off. Oh, that's my start, huh?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I can't seem to get it. Once I start thinking of villains that we need, And even though this has been attempted before, we have never gotten a truly classic version. That's going to come up a lot on my list. You know, we've had versions before, but I don't like the dog version and I don't like the weird version. Oh, I gave it away, didn't I? We need a good classic Ultron. And I feel like his time in the spotlight in the cinematic universe is past, you know?
Yep. I
It's
agree.
done. It's past. They're on to other things. There's been some close ones. What is it? The classic version on the card, but not close enough.
What wasn't there? There was one in a box set too, maybe that it was
Maybe.
close, but it's definitely cobbled together.
Yeah.
So really in Legends, Ultron has only been cobbled, or he got that ridiculous bunny version or dog version, whatever you want to call it, in that Toy Biz 11. So I'm with you. He has not had his justice for sure.
Right. And I hate
so
to put that in because he needs a lot of sculpting, but along with the characters that are already in this wave, with Psycho Man, it would be a lot of new sculpting. But it's Ultron. It's good. It's classic.
But you know what? We're gonna open up the purse and just send the money going.
Oh yeah.
Well, because that's why we're sitting here wish listing and not crunching numbers in Pawtucket, right? So
and that's what I said. That's what I mean. It's hard not to get clinical with it, to think about it too much. You know, oh, this one's new sculpt, this one needs to be reused, and here's the budget, and here's the balance. And sometimes it's just nice to let go.
Well, for a high-profile villain that was a centerpiece of an Avengers movie, the fact that a comic version of him has never really been done correctly, that screams for, you know, admission into this club. So that's a really good choice.
You need to bring on that bad guy.
Yeah. So then I'm going to counter with someone who may not quite have the profile here, but his Legends history may be just as dubious as Ultron's, and I'm going to throw out classic Toad for this.
Oh, you had to hit me with an X-Men villain. Come on, man.
I thought that's where you were going with this choice, and I wasn't going to bring him to this because I thought maybe for sure that would have been a lock for your list. But when you say Ultron, it's like Toad is a good foil for him in terms of a face-off, right?
Yeah.
Toad has appeared in Marvel Legends, but that was a carryover weird figure that was not Legends articulation or anything like that. And that dude, he's still standing back there, but there hasn't even been a whiff or a whisper of Toad ever since then.
Yeah, I remember back then when nobody wanted that figure, and then they got several waves in, and then suddenly the price shot up and everybody wanted it. All of a sudden it's like, oh, I missed out on Toad. There's a reason you missed out on Toad.
Right.
Oh man, and he's been in movies and
he's an original Brotherhood guy. So I mean that's playing to like the main OG crew of what is your favorite Marvel team, right? With the X-Men.
You son of a bitch.
Oh, it's war.
We probably need to finish out the Brotherhood of Mutants because getting the Hellfire Club set makes me want Mastermind.
Yeah, I was just going to say Mastermind.
Yeah,
this is a tough one.
How dare you, sir?
I know that's a glove slap duel type right here. This is a big one,
and it wasn't. And I don't know why I didn't think of Toad.
I don't know why either, because I have him on the list, but he's got a star next to it that you're going to pick him. Ultron or Toad? I feel strongly that hopefully in the not too distant future, both of them are needed in this line. But if we're going to have to wage a war between the two of them for a slot in this assortment, I would be happy with either one, because like I said, I feel like I'm playing your own sensibilities against you here. So now the pressure is really going to be there because you're going to pick now.
Because and I don't have a coin. I was looking for a coin to flip. But you know what? Your ploy worked. You know me well. As much as I want an Ultron, there's more choices for Ultron right now. They're all none of them great, but there's no choices for Toad except for a high dollar piece of shit figure.
Yeah, what we have right now for Ultron, as you said, isn't great, and it's not completely accurate. But he's doing better than Toad at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
My only thing, if I was going to argue against myself in favor of the one that you chose, is that Legends is riding really high on X-Men right now,
and if they're going to reboot that franchise for the MCU, Toad has to make an appearance at some point, right?
You have to go like further than the marketing team at Hasbro right now. I mean, those guys are big into X-Men, so maybe at this point, Toad actually would stand a better chance of making it somewhere. So I'm arguing against my own choice here, but just wanting to put it out there.
Well, right now at this point too, we have Arcade, which is an X-Men, or I think of him as an X-Men villain.
Yeah,
Dormammu is Doctor Strange. We chose Psycho Man, which is Fantastic Four. Ultron works into an Avengers type situation.
It's true.
It's
on you.
I don't wanna make this choice. I gotta go with Toad. I'm an X-Men kind of guy. That's it. That's
okay. That may have been some underhanded work on my part there. So
yeah, it's not fair.
All fair and FWOOSH Face Off.
Okay, so round 3.
Round 3. Okay.
You had mentioned you may go a little bit more or B-list here, whereas I was keeping with the A-list until the last round. But
okay.
Let's do this.
I have 2 in this slot right now, and I'm having to make a game time decision here on this. And your choice of Toad is actually making this a little bit tougher for me. I'm going to go with, as much as I would love to have a new Ronin at this point, I'm going to say Lady Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, she's had a figure, no doubt. Only in the Toy Biz days, and it's funky. If we're talking about X-Men villains in terms of, I don't know, stratification of their popularity or where they're at now, Toad and Lady Deathstrike are the 2 to me that really jump out at this point too. I mean, there are a few others like Spiral and whatnot that we could talk about, but Lady Deathstrike just seems like she's good to work with like Wolverine. We've gotten some
Reverse
figures, in the past that would go along with her, and it covers a female because I like to have at least one female in every Marvel Legends wave too. So I'm going to pick Lady Deathstrike.
She would be a good addition to the Reverse and the X-Men, the Outback team, the classic team. She made movie appearance, but much as I'd want a Lady Deathstrike, and as much as I didn't mind that original figure, especially after a repaint.
At the time or now?
At the time. She's actually, to be honest, she's one of the few Toy Biz figures that's still standing on the shelf.
I lost mine, so she's not.
Lost it in a move in the somewhere.
Yeah.
To bring it back around to an Avengers type villain, well, maybe more specifically a Captain America villain. Again, ooh. I don't know why I keep doing this.
Armadillo.
Oh, no, that's going to be the Build-A-Figure. What are you talking about? You're blowing it. No, he's got a Red Skull. Wait, okay, I blew it. That's Red Skull. But I want to go back. I don't want a uniform and stuff. I want the green pajamas.
Yep.
And I know that they probably can't do the red armband. They can't put that on an action figure.
But they could put Hydra on there at this point. I mean, because that's what's really been retconned into at this point, right?
Yeah. And I'd be okay with that. But just a green jumpsuit, what other figures could they do with a green jumpsuit? But we haven't had a good action type figure for Red Skull. Well, I don't know. The skull was a pretty good sculpt, but we need a good body for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having that. What did they throw? It was the skull was a little oversized for Onslaught. It was for Onslaught, right? Yeah, that was actually, in my opinion, a really good Red Skull sculpt, but it's just a little bit too big for a standard body. I wouldn't mind seeing that one smaller, but I like this pick because I have him written on my list as well. My con was that we've seen him a lot, but my pro is that we haven't seen what I consider to be the definitive version, and also every wave still kind of needs an anchor character, and I think Red Skull is a pretty good anchor, especially since Ultron didn't make our cut. So I could see him with that, and I don't know. You think maybe like he could come with some accessories and pull a Toy Biz and put some like overlay or take overlay stuff off in an alternate head, and maybe toss a Strucker in there like what they did with the 2-pack too. So you might get 2 for the price of 1.
If reuse was needed, then I'd be okay with that. But we need a Red Skull with some articulation that has a presence on the shelf, that's not constantly falling over, not using that damn Nick Fury body or that shit trench coat that we've used on too many figures already.
Not an Iron Man armor or whatever else. Yeah.
This is the Avengers entry into this wave.
I like it, and I'm gonna say that's the better choice.
Yeah.
Even though I'm kind of I was struggling with another female choice for this, so that's what Lady Deathstrike represented more than anything on my list. I still like the character more. I think he deserves his due credit, and and for a villain wave, he could act as an anchor. So, plus, I think we should go with Red Skull.
Plus, his time in the MCU, the general public's eye is again past.
Right.
X-Men's on the way.
Yeah. Right.
So, do I win a round?
You do. I'm gonna mark it down, dude. I like it.
Making a comeback.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like it.
2-1.
All right. So that takes us to round 4. So
round 4.
You could pull up even on this, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna probably be fighting pretty hard on this one. So
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second. Do I start this one off?
You start this one, yeah. Because I did that strike first.
That is fortuitous. And I did not plan this. I just randomly laid these out. But for round 4, I'm going to go with a 4-top character. He may be a little bit frightful. Oh, but we've never had a wizard.
Oh.
I want a straight up classic version with the big head, the egghead dome, and I know Psycho Man kind of falls
reverse Toad now. You're playing to my sensibilities on this one.
But honestly, I've always wanted a wizard. I've thought about taking the old 5-inch figure. The head is big, so it would fit on it, and doing a custom of some kind, but I never have, thinking, oh, it's wizard. They've got to make him at some point, and they haven't yet.
And he would probably be a pretty efficient figure from a reuse standpoint. So that helps with something like this. And man, if not for this slot, I would probably roll over right now for just without making my case. But
I was almost afraid to say this, and you were going to have it on your list. Go ahead. Let's see what you got for wave 4.
He was really close to being on my list, but my choice could technically be considered a Fantastic Four villain, even though a Fantastic Four adjacent character is probably more of like villain to that character. I want an Atuma figure. And I've wanted an Atuma figure for a long time. I think that we have definitely a lot of base body parts options for him. He's blue, so that makes him pretty cool. And I think Namor's gasping for villains, right?
Puns and colors is not going to win me over. You can't pull the blue card. The problem with your pick here is I do not care at all for Atuma.
or about.
I know who Atuma is, but for some reason, I have never connected with the character. I mean, maybe it's because I've never read anything with him in it. Was he in Atlantis Attacks? Had to have been at some point, right? It's Atlantis. It's underwater.
Yeah, probably.
But I can picture him. I know what he looks like.
He's been around for a really, really long time. He's cross-functional villain, right? To several different stables. If we get a Fantastic Four retro series, which I hope that we do. What they seem to be, pulling from for that, as far as characters and whatnot, Wizard was there for that. In the old Fantastic Four line, he was there in the cartoon. Tuma, doesn't have that, but he does have that Fantastic Four, Namor, Avengers, probably Iron Man, maybe at some point. I don't remember. Villain, ness going for him. I can't make the he's never had a Legends figure argument because neither has Wizards. So
Right.
I love the Frightful Four. I love Wizard. But if I'm gonna bring it down to just an action to an action figure level, Atuma is the cooler looking action figure. This is a tough one, and it's funny because I it's I really like Wizard, but I have, like I said, Atuma has been pretty much a constant in my wish listing for over a decade now. I
Right.
think on that list, he's striking to me, and maybe that's one of those things that it goes back to, like, Merman is my favorite He-Man character, so maybe that kind of underwater theme or something just appeals to me.
I'm looking up.
Rad,
I'm looking at what he looks like. He's got the scales on the legs and the scales on the forearms.
Yeah.
But if they put him on the Hercules body, maybe, or would he need to be bigger than that?
I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I didn't look at any actual stats. You know what? For the simple fact that Psycho Man covers the Fantastic Four villain in this wave, in our wave so far, and Red Skull is more of a Captain America, I guess Atuma could be like a Namor villain that we are sorely missing. And that's how I'm going with it. To me, he's not Avengers and all that.
He's definitely more Namor and Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But
because I feel like we could go on for hours here.
Yeah, because I felt that I was getting a little too wish listy personal with this one, because I was almost going to put Executioner in this slot, but it's like,
okay, yeah, I'd go for Atuma because he's blue. That's why I'm going with him.
That's your background. That's your background. So
he'd be a good contrast to Red Skull.
All right. But oh man, I want to Wizard too.
but okay, let's put a addendum to this whole contest thing. If we get to a round where we're stalemate, or again, we can throw Wizard in and to break the tie.
Okay, that's fair, because we've only got one round left. So
yeah, I know, and that's going to be deep dive, which means our really personal favorite top thing, characters to go into it.
Yeah.
And you start this one.
Oh, okay. So deep dive, personal. The only the only thing that is gonna make me like acquiesce in this round is the fact that the ridiculousness and the likelihood is probably like sub-basement below that at this point. But I am dead serious when I say I want a Dr. Bong.
Oh, yeah. You're going with the Howard the Duck villains, huh?
Howard Duck's getting all kinds of disrespect as far as his rogues gallery goes in this one.
Well, I mean, honestly, don't we need a Howard the Duck action figure? An actual action figure of Howard the Duck?
Yeah, because I still got the fleeting pack-in accessory from Silver Surfer.
That's the one that stands, well, I think it's in the bin right now because I only have X-Men up. But someday...
Because that, well, I think you just sold it, right? Because we'll just pack in Howard the Duck with Dr. Bonk.
And make it a 2-pack. That wouldn't be in this wave then. That would be its own, Howard the Duck special edition. Because I thought they were actually going to go somewhere with Howard the Duck there for a minute. Plus, you make Seth Green the voice of somebody. That means it's going somewhere, right?
Right.
You would think. But that's not a bad choice. And Dr. Bong did appear in Deadpool series. So he was his therapist for an issue or two.
I'm going to use that against you here in just a little bit.
But you won't have to, because my choice for round 5 is, again, we don't have enough Hulk villains. We have forsaken the Hulk corner of the universe. This is easy reuse. So if it's right into the budget area, and in fact, it's just a paint job, Dwight. It's just a paint job. And it's a start of a team that could be spread out into other waves or future releases. So I'm going to go with Vector of the UFOs.
Woo.
Boom! Boom! Give it to me now. I win.
I have to say that that was not at all what I thought you were going to choose.
Yeah, you thought I was going to go. I went unpredictable, didn't I? All the way back to my reading the handbook during breakfast days before school. The UFOs have always just kind of popped off the page. That, especially the design for Vector with the stripes and the lines and the circles and stuff.
Let me think.
It's just a striking look. And then X-Ray would be like a translucent pink body that they've already kind of made with Living Laser.
Yeah.
And put some lines on him. Ironclad is just a big bulk body. And then Vapor would be, she'd be kind of hard to do. But at the same time, make her kind of a floating, maybe an upper torso, no legs. We know how that goes over really well in Marvel Legends. Just have her a Vapor bottom half or maybe an attachment or two. But that's for down the line. You start off with Vector. You start off with the leader. Again, the most visually striking of the team. And boom, you have some Hulk villains.
I'm being challenged here by the sheer shock that this is your pick here. I have to say.
Yeah, I came out of left field with this one.
So when you started talking about this, it felt more like a pitch. So you've done a good job in, getting me there from a practicality standpoint, because if one of these choices is going to be practical at a Z-list level, then probably it is going to be Vector. It's cheap. It builds a team, interaction with a lot more high profile Marvel characters. Because you say Hulk, but his Avengers too, right?
Right.
A cool paint job. When you
a lot of room for error though on a paint job.
Well, that's true. And when you get into an action figure space where you're talking about hundreds of figures, it becomes more difficult to stand out. But Vector would still stand out, I think.
And looking at them, you could almost kind of tweak that design to hit articulation points, and where it's not going to break up as much as what you visualize it to be, because it'll break the hell out of that design all over the place, but it can be tweaked.
True. That's true. So as visually striking and standing out on the shelf, though, that Vector may be, did he stand out more than Dr. Bong? Giant bell head with, I don't know, what do they call that? The bell clanger?
A dong. Is that what they call it?
Figure with a big dong.
Because that's what it's bong, isn't it? Bong.
Yeah.
We're already talking about a lot of A-list villains already. We can't throw another A-list in here with Dr. Bong.
Your reverse psychology is not going to work on me. So, okay, let me ask you this. So I think you did a good job with your pitch and your argument for him as presented. But at the same time, that kind of makes me think, is the rationale for your choice in Vector being on here more from a, line management standpoint rather than a true want?
That was one of the first ones I chose whenever I went going through my list. I automatically searched.
Dr. Bong.
Dr. Bong didn't even enter my brain until, of course, neither did Tuma, which I've already given to you, even though I don't. Because he's blue. How many orange, yellow, and red characters do you have on your shelf besides Pyro and
Human Torch and Sunfire and others?
And some others.
White and purple and gold.
Dr. Bong.
It's lavender. It's lavender and purple or maroon and gold.
Oh yeah? Kind of like Medusa and the Sentinel and
no.
Whenever you're standing them next to Professor X and all those X-Men costumes, and see, I think of Dr. Bong and he's heroic.
He'd stand right next to Stan Lee because that's where Howard is. So they would be like right there with the Galactus in the middle of the display.
Oh, yeah, I get it. I wanted Dr. Bong too, but man, That would make for a kick-ass team on the shelf eventually when they got around to finishing that team in 2025 or so.
What, the UFOs?
Yeah, the UFOs. No, put Vector in the Bring on the Bad Guys wave and then an Amazon set with the other three and a Hulk figure. Sounds perfect, right? Sounds doable. Sounds totally logical.
All right. Well, I feel like I'm going to lose a lot of cred with this, but I guess I've convinced myself that Dr. Bong as an exclusive to some retailer makes more sense. But all I got to say, though, is that Dwight, Ryan, Dan, in this hypothetical line that we are putting together right here that you guys have nothing to do with in terms of planning this wish list, since I'm not picking Dr. Bong, he better show up as an exclusive sometime.
That's right. He's, you know, to the dispensary. He could be exclusive dispensaries all around the U.S.
Or the doorbell stores, the many doorbell stores throughout this land.
In that aisle of Lowe's.
Or the shop down on Main Street in Anytown, USA. Dr. Bong would help keep local alive. So you're picking Dr.
Bong. I hate doing this because I want a Dr. Bong. In fact, this could probably work out to a top 12. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah. A choice must be made, and I'm behind.
So this is about coming even?
No. I just feel like Vector appeals to more people. How's that?
For a Z-list slot, that argument loses a little water, but I'm going to give it to you anyway, begrudgingly.
Plus, you know, when the Howard the Duck reboot comes out and he gets a Legends wave.
Darn right. It's going to be one Howard figure and 5 different variants of Dr. Bong in his beautiful lavender and maroon and gold with a chase vac metal gold variant on there.
Man, you're going all out. Chases, exclusives, vac metal.
I could talk all day about our friend Dr. Bong.
Our friend Dr. Bong.
Mine and yours, a friend to all. I don't think Vector can say that.
It goes back to your same argument for Mandarin. He at least has a chance in the future. Howard the Duck has shown up in the movies. I don't think UFOs are going to be showing up in the movies anytime soon. So we got to put them in where we gotta.
You're making the argument that a villain to Hulk and the Avengers has less chance of being made than Dr. Bong?
Just dropping the
I don't think
bombs.
I quite agree with your logic there, sir.
Have you already written them down on the sticky?
No.
Yes, you did. Okay, so I don't have to argue for them anymore.
Let me put this to you then. We put Vector on this list, and the list is Psycho Man, Toad, Red Skull, Atuma, and Vector. If you're planning out a whole line with Dormammu and Arcade, how are you feeling about this list?
I'm feeling pretty good under our own guidelines, you know, with a deep dive character. I think if it came down to it, I would take wave 5 and make that wizard. Would make a hell of a wave. You know what I mean?
All right, I'll tell you what. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to take Vector out and put wizard on there if you want to do that. It's cheating a little bit, but I feel better about that.
Yeah. And I'm good with that too. As much as I want Vector and Dr. Bong. I nearly went Doc Bong. You know, old
we're
Doc
on a
Bong.
casual name basis, me and Doc Bong.
Yeah, Wizard seems like a higher profile and fits the rest of the wave better.
Like I said, it was just the weird fact that you chose him against Atuma that would get me to ever argue against a Fantastic Four villain in that way. So if we're going to have Vector written down here with the possibility to substitute in Wizard, I'll take that all day.
Okay. And we had made that sub rule before we even got to round 5. So
we changed the game in the middle of the game.
That's right.
And we're good with that. So
but it's our game. So
yeah, that's right.
Okay. Build a
now
figure.
Get your heart out, Arcade. It's our game now.
And you know what? Out of that list, I probably still want Arcade the most. Arcade's been on my list for a long, long time too.
Yeah, he's up there. And the good part about this though is that Red Skull and really Red Skull would be to me the anchor character out of all of that. But I think Toad and maybe even Dormammu at this point. They're pretty close to being able to pull as well. I don't know. I think it's actually a pretty solid group.
I
I mean,
mean,
there's no female, which that kind of bugged me, but maybe we should have built that into the rule, that one slot would have been female,
yeah,
at least. Since Lady Deathstrike was the only female that was, listed on here, the argument for Red Skull against her, though, was too good. So I feel
yeah.
all right with her not being on
But
it.
I
So
would, I would probably take Atuma out and put Lady Deathstrike in.
we did not agree to that.
Damn it.
Nice try, though. It was Wizard.
We have our list of 5. We're up to the
Yep.
Build-A-Figure.
We are.
So FWOOSH 5 plus Build-A-Figure.
Yep.
And
And
it's my turn.
you're up first, correct?
Yeah. This was a hard one. Should I throw out both my choices, but the one I'm going with for sure?
Yeah, that's fine, because this was the most difficult spot for me too.
Yeah, because I was going to go with Mephisto. I want a bigger scale. I missed the Marvel Select one, and we need one in Legends. And even if it came with like a Build-A-Throne or something, but even with the figure by itself, I'd go with a Mephisto. He's just too, whole universe affecting. People probably hate him because of the whole whatever the Spider-Man thing was, But that just means he's doing his job, right? That's a good heel.
He doesn't want to be liked.
Yeah, exactly. You're supposed to hate him. But once again, I'm going with a villain who has been in the line before, back in the Toy Biz days.
And I think I know where you're going with this.
And it's beautiful, but it's too small and it doesn't fit with the rest of the line. I have to, and it's X-Men coming back around, but I've got to go with old Mojo.
Yeah, I knew it.
In fact, if they're
front butt himself,
old butt stomach, if they could take that sculpt, and I know they wouldn't, and blow it up to proper size, I would be totally down for that. And not a knock on Hasbro, but man, even the paint job on that thing is beautiful, and I don't think it would look like that. It's too small. It doesn't fit. That's a 5-inch scale figure.
That's a good pick. And again, like you said, X-Men leaning. Which is a popular thing for Legends right now, and probably Legends collectors in general, because they wouldn't keep doing it if X-Men weren't selling, right? We talked about with Lady Deathstrike as far as the high profile or higher profile or whoever should be next in line in terms of X-Men villains go. Mojo would be a good pick. Arrow-wise, he's a little bit limited right now with what we have on the shelf as far as X-Men figures go, though, right?
Was he earlier than that? Well, yeah, it was around that era with Punk Storm.
But it doesn't really matter.
No. But
it's a good fit.
But now that Longshot shot into my head, I'm almost shooting my own pick down, because it would be a perfect fit for an X-Men wave with Longshot and Spiral and little X-Baby pack-ins or something, I may have just talked myself out of my own choice. So let's hear what you have and go from there.
All right. Well, first, before we start, I almost picked MODOK for this, because MODOK is one of, if not my favorite Marvel villains. He has a new show coming up, and I think he's like been rumored for a line for a while, but that's like the last Toy Biz figure that I would ever take off of my shelf. It's my favorite Toy Biz figure. So it's like,
yeah, that's one of the ones that hold on to my display too. It's still in there.
So I didn't go with him, but the pick that I do have has a Marvel Legends history that's probably even more ridiculous than Mojo. I think at this point, and even though as you talked yourself out, he may make more sense in a different assortment, it's like we almost need this pressure valve at this point, that I'm going to go with Dragon Man.
Oh, shit. Yeah?
That is a lot of release. And I had the Toy Biz one for a long time. He finally hit a price on the internet that I was like, you know what? For something that I don't consider to be classic or like the comic accurate version of the character that I'd really want, my price was just met. So I unloaded that figure a few years ago, and I don't have any regrets about it whatsoever. But I'm not alone in the fact that I don't have Dragon Man on my shelf, and more people who there were more people who didn't have that figure than did. He's just been a constant presence in chatter of we need this, and it went away for a long time with the whole Fantastic Four rights thing and whatever else. But now that they're back, even though yes, I could see, okay, he might make more sense in a Fantastic Four wave, right?
Yeah.
It feels like I said, this is almost like a pressure valve that needs to be released amongst like Marvel Legends collectors, that it's like we finally need a classic Dragon Man that everybody has a little bit better access to, and it would be a pretty awesome looking Build-A-Figure in my opinion.
I never had that Dragon Man, so it would be a first time for me.
It's cool, but he looked more like a dragon in the real world instead of like the comic version, right?
It would definitely require all new sculpt.
Yeah.
It'd be a big body, have some dragon wings.
Build-A-Figures tend to, I mean, that's a non-argument between our two figures, right? Because I mean, Mojo ain't using anything, right?
No.
I don't know. This is a tough one. I'm all in for either one of them, and I hope more than probably any of the other things that we went round and round about in previous rounds that you know, both of them would get their due fairly soon. But I'm kind of with you with your argument. Oh well, Mojo might fit better in an X-Men wave with such and such and such and such. I can make that same argument with Dragon Man too.
Right. It's almost like our initial thought Build-A-Figures fit this wave better than the two that we actually want.
Yeah, absolutely.
And between those two, Mephisto fits, well, I don't know. I feel like Dormammu kind of, they're almost in the same spot.
That's something that I was going to say, is that no, they don't look alike, but they kind of resemble each other maybe enough to kind of, because another one I was thinking too was Surtur.
It fit into a Thor type thing, which we haven't really touched on in this wave.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Out of the four choices, if we're lining up four, MODOK makes the most sense.
This, you know, we said it at the beginning. This was the tough spot.
I was going to say we don't have enough big purple Build-A-Figures, but how many Sentinels do you have? And they're not Build-A-Figures, but they're big figures back behind you.
That's none of your business, and all.
Or Galactus right above your head.
Stay out of my personal affairs.
In fact, oh well, no, they're kind of. A lot of people are asking for Galactus to be a HasLab. I was going to say he would be a perfect addition here, but I would want him bigger. At this point, I want a Galactus.
I really like that. I guess it was a Marvel Universe figure.
I never got it, but yeah, it looks nice.
I really like that Galactus figure. If I'm going to get another Galactus figure in the Hasbro Marvel, he better be at least an inch taller than the Sentinel that we're getting via HasLab.
Right, exactly.
That's the only next logical thing for Galactus.
Yeah. That's a whole nother discussion, though. Oh, man, I'd almost go for Dragon Man here. Because I've talked myself into Mojo needs to be an X-Men wave. In fact, he'd be a perfect X-Men wave Build-A-Figure. Dragon Man, to me, if I were a betting man, I would go with MODOK.
Yeah, me too.
Because of the exposure of MODOK at the moment.
I absolutely would. He was my brand manager choice for this.
Yeah. Fanboying would be Dragon Man. Either way, that's both your choices.
Well,
so I will leave that decision to you.
But I'm really good with Mojo. Shit, I'm good with Surtur too.
That is a tough choice, but within the confines of this wave, I would probably go with MODOK. But I'd like the Dragon Man.
I would default to Dragon Man here simply because I like the MODOK that I have, and also we're doing this without the confines of having to make something quote unquote marketable.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
So we have the luxury to do that. So I feel like we should. And then, you know, thinking of Mojo, I still really want him, but you know, it's like the Hasbro team is picking kind of an era or a team to go with, and they, you know, do a lot of figures from that, like Age of Apocalypse, and now they're moving on to the new thing with the Cerebro.
Oh yeah,
that team. It's like, man, since Giant Size is pretty much done now, Jim Lee is done, it's like Outback would be a great next team to hit kind of the theme of, and who else? I mean, Mojo would be
Yeah,
Mojo would be
yeah.
really awesome.
With an armored, yeah, okay. Well, before we start wish listing that, because now you're in my territory of let's do another hour
And this
on
is why we
Outback
talked
X-Men.
4 hours, right? Yeah.
It's not just within the confines of this wave. We've also, well, we've taken Vector and Dr. Bong out in place of Wizard. It's a pretty heavy hitting wave. Would you consider Dragon Man up to the standards of the rest of the wave?
I say
Pissing a
we
lot of
throw
people
it all,
off.
I say we throw it all out and we fight to the death over Armadillo and Grizzly.
Ow, man, Armadillo.
All right then. My plan worked.
Ooh, you brought it all the way around to Armadillo. The problem is that I'm good with whatever they want to give us, and I'm good with a lot of characters. And I would get a lot of characters in plastic form. What it comes down to is, oh, I'll take that too. And then justify all the other choices into other ways.
That's the thing. I mean, I would take every single character in a heartbeat in this wave that we have discussed tonight, plus Avalanche that I didn't talk about, and some of the other ones too. So it's not really a question of that. I think it comes down to, do we play in the wide open sandbox with no restraints, or do we brand manage this to a logic? Because I'm with you. If I'm sitting there planning, nobody stands a chance against MODOK.
Who you choose?
One of the two that we originally made the case for.
Which one? Dragon Man and MODOK?
Mojo.
Or Mojo? Damn it. Dragon Man.
Dragon Man?
I've already talked myself out of Mojo. I mean, and I did it before you even threw your choices out there. We'll have to FWOOSH 5 X-Men wave here soon.
And a Fantastic Four wave, and a female wave. I mean, we got...
Which you're just, if we're choosing Dragon Man here, you're just throwing away a perfect candidate for a Build-A-Figure.
Trust me, my friend. We have many more.
Oh,
you mentioned Annihilus. I mean, he walks right through that door.
Yeah. Yeah.
My brain is telling me to go with MODOK, and I want to fight against that because it's very likely that he could be the real Build-A-Figure here. Yeah. Right?
But we're going Dragon Man.
Let's go with Dragon Man.
Okay.
Like I said, I think that's doing it for the people too.
Oh yeah.
Well,
that's and Dragon Man was a big deal there for a long time. So I mean, even in action figure land.
Yeah, he and Toad in this wave. That's kind of.
Oh yeah, it is.
It's representative of kind of knowing Marvel Legends history, and I don't want to say making it right, because that's a ridiculous thing to say. It's just accommodating things that have been struggles in the past. I don't know.
Right.
That makes sense. Stupid.
So what's our bring on the bad guys wave?
It's strange. I like it. I would buy it in a heartbeat, and be perfectly happy. So we've got Dormammu and Arcade. They're the only for sure's here, right? We're adding to that Psycho Man, Toad, Red Skull,
right?
Atuma, Wizard, and Dragon Man. You still don't like that Atuma, do you?
No, but if there was a odd duck for me, which we're not supposed to like every figure in every wave, but for a Dragon Man Build-A-Figure, I would buy an Atuma and he'd go with Namor,
Yeah.
It's not a loss. It's just not what I would have personally chosen. Although he is blue.
You son of a bitch. You're supposed to be supportive of that blue. It's FWOOSH blue.
So I got 2 out of 6. I'm counting Wizard as a win.
Yeah, I mean, technically that's true, but I think we ended up like defending each other's picks for the Toad and Ultron.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, then that just means that when everybody hates this list, that I'll get.
Oh yeah, see? Wow, man, this works out beautifully for me.
I'll get, most of the hate percentage-wise. Right?
Yeah. Everyone has to remember, wishlist. This is exactly what wish lists are. This is what we personally want. And like I said, you're not supposed to like every character in a way. They can't cater to everyone's personal lists. And
this was just a dumb way to spend an evening.
Yeah.
That we might want to see.
We should have been drinking
without the confines of practical line planning.
Yeah, yeah. Which I cannot. It's hard to get away from that. It's hard not to think about that because we're so
Mhm.
trained to think that way on future waves. Oh, well, that's a unique sculpt. That's a unique sculpt. The rest have to be reuse, to
Yeah,
balance things out. So,
yeah.
and even that we've been wrong in the past.
Hmm.
Remember the retro waves? Oh, they don't use new tooling in those. And then the very next wave, we got new tooling. So
Yeah, yeah, you're right. We got a lot of heat for doing new tooling in that, and then all of a sudden, oh
yeah,
well,
yeah.
here we are.
No, I'm happy with this list. So that's our FWOOSH 5 Face Off.
It's almost as ridiculous as the movie that is also named Face Off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it for tonight.
Yeah.
This short FwooshCast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
as it always goes.
that's right.
We've got some more fun stuff cooked up in the not too distant future. So,
Some more interviews. Hell, we may be keeping on with FWOOSH 5s. I mean, just listing stuff and then talking about it for an hour.
yeah,
Easy peasy.
or
Or two. If you want to hear more of this, let us know somehow wherever you're listening to this on the podcast or on the YouTube, or I think that's it. Is that
Yeah.
where we put this? Hey, we'll always catch you on the FWOOSH.
Hey.
Hey. I had to give it a little time to remember what the hell I was supposed to say, even though I've said this 5 million times in my life.